Okay, so kind of wanted to do this review a while ago, um, just because I've been ready to do this review for a while now. But apparently Grim hasn't been getting on it, and then right after things went down, and now he's taking a break from the review guys. So I guess I figure I might as well do it because I kind of want to move on. So what I'm referring to today is this book. I wanted to start doing some book reviews, and funny enough, Grimm's the one that got me into wanting to start reading. And we both picked out this book together as like something we were gonna both read in our free time and then review together. I read it in like a month, and when I got up with him, he's like, "Dude, I ain't even started it." Well, and I kind of been waiting, giving him some time to read it, and then like I said, out of the blue, that's when he was like, "Yeah, I want to take a break." So in my mind, so I can move on and read something else, I thought I might as well review it. If he ever does read it, excuse me, we'll revisit. But excuse me, I picked like the worst day ever to review things outside. Allergies are kicking. Uh, but yeah, if he ever reads it, we'll re- revisit it. But I still kind of wanted to do it while it's kind of fresh in my mind, and I'm not trying to read something else. But yeah, this is my first book from the author Brian Keene, and it's funny. I know a lot of you probably don't care about my backstories and all that, but that's kind of part of what I do as a content creator, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, a chick that used to work where my wife worked told me about this place because she used to work there. I went to check it out. And we actually did a review of this place. Got books in Shelby, North Carolina. Fantastic place if you haven't been there. Um, but we went for the first time. Found the horror section, and he was trying to get me into reading books. Which, to be fair, I wasn't against reading books. It's just you got to understand. The last time I read a book, I was in school, and being that I'm autistic and ADHD, and the last time I tried to read a book, I was being forced to because it was part of school. Kind of haven't really wanted to just pick up a book and read it on my own. But we got in there. I saw some interesting books, and he kept trying to get me into it. Plus, my wife loves to read, so I thought it would be like a cool bonding thing me and her could do. Anyway, we're looking at the horror section, and I see two copies of these, and it was the only set of books they actually had as far as in the horror section that they had more than one copy of. Sorry, truck. But yeah, it was the only book they had in the horror section they had more than one copy of. And I was like, well, that's perfect because we can both read it on our own time and converse. Got it home, couldn't put it down, ready to do the review, and Grim hadn't started. So now we're here. Um, so this is different for me. I don't know how really to go about reviewing a book, but I'm not gonna give any spoilers away. Kinda. I'm not gonna give you anything that would spoil the book, but I'm gonna give you like little details that wouldn't really spoil anything. It's just you'll see. But yeah, the book is called Ghost Walk. Apparently, it's a series. I wasn't aware of this. There's a few others. You can see those in the series. I'll definitely want to get them. But just from reading this one book, I'm a huge fan of Brian Keene. There's the man himself, which is another reason I'm a fan. Because any author that wears an Anthrax hoodie, yeah. So, crap. This is weird for me. Typically, I don't have to worry about spoiling anything if I'm reviewing a product. Uh, Okay, so for me, what I liked about this book was, I don't know if it's Brian Keene's style or just this book in general, because again, I haven't read any of his other books. I've actually been actively looking for other books from him, but for whatever reason, it's like ever since I got this book and got addicted to him, I can't for the life of me find any more books from him. Like, I've been to the store that I got this from, they don't have any other books from him. I've been to multiple other stores, they either don't have any or never have had any. I even went to a store in Charlotte that has millions of books. Not one book from him. I can get them online, but I'm more of an in-person kind of guy. But it's just a little weird. So I can't really speak on his style. But what I will say is I like how, again, it could just be this particular book, but I like how with the way he writes, a lot of what he writes is very familiar, I guess would be the right word. He writes almost the same as how I think. A lot of things he talks about is very familiar to me. Um, and I guess that's one of the reasons that I really enjoyed this book was because it has to do with a haunted house, well, haunted trail, ghost walk, a haunted trail, and I'm a haunter, so that kind of reached me that way. And then a lot of his certain things that he'll put in the book just kind of makes sense to me, I guess, in my life. Um, and then there's a lot of other things in here that are, excuse me, try not to die, that are very familiar to me. Sorry, I'm struggling. This is probably the worst review ever, but I'm just trying not to ruin the book for you. Um, I'm struggling here. Give me a minute. Okay, so I'm trying to think of ways to get you to read this without ruining it. But I mean, I know a lot of people that review books kind of just give it away, and they're like, "Well, you don't know till you know." But 9 times out of 10, if you're gonna look up a reviewer to find out if you want to buy a book, you haven't read it yet. Why are you watching someone's review of a book if you've already read it? Let's just say if you're into haunted houses or haunted trails, um, old school deities, like gods and stuff like that. Not God himself, but gods, um, and mythology and stuff like that. Then I definitely would give this book a check out. I will say my only complaint about this book, and I don't know if it's a Brian Keene thing or it's just a thing he did because it is a series. Because I was told some of the stuff in this book continue to come up in other books, so maybe the ending has came up before or will come up again. I don't know. But reading the book for me, the ending was kind of weak. Just being fair. Hang on. Sorry. Figure nobody wants to see that. Ah. But yeah, for me, the ending was kind of weak. Because you got this long build up for the ending, and the entire book, you're like, oh my god, this is getting good. Like, holy crap. And then as you're reading it, you kind of get to like that much left, and you're like, I'm confused. Like, the big ending hasn't happened yet. There's only like 5 pages left. I'm confused. So you keep reading it and it keeps going, and then it's like the actual ending is like started and finished within like 2 pages. And it's fine, but for me, I just felt like there should have been more to it. If you read it, you'll understand what I'm saying. Um, I don't know. It just, that's the only part of the book that kind of just left me being like, well, that was lame. You know, the rest of the book, I'm just like, holy crap, this is a nice ride. You know, hold on, this is fun. But that ending, it was just kind of like, I don't know. Hard to explain without ruining it, but that's realistically my only. I mean, don't get me wrong, the ending works. The ending doesn't leave you being like, what the hell? Um, but just with how good the actual book is and how much of a build up there is, the ending was just kind of flat. It's kind of like shaking up a bottle of Coke and then opening it and it doesn't spew. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot going on. You can feel the pressure building, but then you open it and it's just. It's like, huh, expecting more. But yeah, that's realistically my only complaint. But I mean, look, it's a tiny book. You know, it's not a 6 month read or anything like that. I mean, you got to think. I didn't dedicate my life to this book. I read like maybe 4 to 5 chapters twice a week. You know what I mean? Like, I might read 4 or 5 chapters Monday. I might read 4 or 5 chapters on Saturday. Like, if you sat down and just read this, like a lot of people do, you'd be done in less than a week. But I just kind of spaced it out because, again, I'm still getting into books and ADHD and autism and all that. It's just hard to concentrate. But the way he, sorry, the way he wrote this book, um, he keeps you interested, and that's why I'm more or less a fan at this point. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's a thin enough book. You ain't got to dedicate your life to it. It's just one of those books that you can kind of keep in the car. Say you go to a coffee house or you have some free time at work, just pick it up and give it a cute few chapters and move on with your life. You know, it's not like a Harry Potter book, what's that thick, and you've got to read it every single day, multiple chapters to even put a dent in it. No. And another thing that I do enjoy about this book, I don't know if it's every one of his books, but at least this one, in the end, he puts a few chapters of his next book, which is called Castaways. I think he puts right around 3 chapters in there, which is pretty cool. I didn't read it just because it's so hard for me to find his books locally. I didn't want to get addicted to that book and then not be able to find it. So, yeah. Plus, I mean, I already know I want to buy more of his books. So the last thing I want to do is read 3 chapters into a book that I can't finish because I can't find it. But yeah, fantastic read. Highly recommend it. Eventually, I plan on getting this signed because this is the book that got me back into reading, and I'm very happy that it was this book. I got a lot more coming. Hopefully, I can get better at doing a review for books because it's not the easiest thing to do without killing it for somebody that hasn't read it. But yeah, if you're into the macabre and haunted houses and mythology and deities and all that weird kind of stuff, yeah, give it a read. And if you're ever near Got Books in Shelby, give them a check out. They got a crap ton of used books, very good prices, very good coffee bar, CBD bar, crystal stones, all that kind of cool stuff. Movies, DVDs, CDs, audiobooks. See you in the next video.